Mark from Cleghorn, Wisconsin. Ryan Day is turning into the boy who cried wolf. How important is 2024 for him and the perception of his coaching ability? Does something happen if he can't win this year? Mark, what do you mean by can't win? Does he have to win one game, 9 games? Does he have to win the whole thing? I always have to nail you guys down on this because, like, you use this nebulous terminology, and the rule around here is only I should be allowed to do that. Yes, we all agree there. So, I don't have to answer this question, Mark. I went up to Columbus, Ohio a few months ago, and I just asked Ryan Day for myself. I asked him about pressure. I asked him about not being able to beat Michigan 3 years in a row, what needs to change. So we kind of went and addressed it with the man himself. Roll it, Colin.
You talk about chasing the 1% a lot. And you guys have put up just an insane win-loss record here. And then there have been big moments where you haven't followed through on it like you want to. Internally, I know there are a million layers to the way you eval yourself and your organization. Outside, it's just, did you win the game or did you not win the game? Does it strike you how crazy it is, the complete validation that's praised upon you if you win the last game of the season versus the total indictment it is on your program if you lose it? And you got a bunch of humans in this building. How do you block that out and make sure folks, keep their racehorse blinders on and understand, yeah, we lost here. It should feel terrible, but there are specific reasons why, instead of just, we suck, burn it down, let's start over from scratch.
I think you have to enhance the things that are going well and then address the things that need to get addressed and identify the right things that need to get fixed. And I think that goes back to making sure you have the right guys in the right seat, making sure you have enough experience in the locker room. Because we have to win games in the fourth quarter and we have to win games at the end of the year. And usually you're doing that with guys who are 21, 22, 23 years old. That's just the truth. And so that was important. I think the other part is making sure the staff is exactly what we need it to be. And hiring Chip was a big deal. It really allowed me some opportunity to make sure that I'm overseeing everything, especially with everything going on in college football right now. But it's, like you said, you have to identify the things that are going well and then fix the things. And this job isn't for the faint of heart. You can be a play or two away and, feel like you're right on that cusp. But you got to make hard decisions. You got to make hard calls because that's what needs to be done to make sure that, our team is in the right situation to win all these games.
All right, so it's been like 3.5 minutes now. But if I remember correctly, Colin, if I remember correctly, Jesse, the question alleged that Ryan Day could turn into the boy who cried wolf. And to be honest, I have no clue what this means. I think I know what you think it means. What you think you were saying is Ryan Day keeps writing the headlines about himself. Ryan Day keeps voting his team number one. Ryan Day keeps picking his team to win the national title. Well, Ryan Day doesn't do any of that. I do. You do. They do. We do. So if I pick Ohio State to do something, like win the national title, which I did last year, and they don't win it, yeah, Ryan Day didn't get it done, but I'm the one whose pick fell through. So I cried wolf. He didn't cry wolf. He may have yelled at Lou Holtz in a post-game press conference, which I still wouldn't apologize for if I were him, but he didn't cry wolf. So that's what he actually says. Ryan Day doesn't do a whole lot of these sit-down one-on-ones. He's done 2 of them with us this spring and summer. And I appreciate the access that he gives us. I appreciate the answers he gives us. You know what else he said? I didn't have time to run it. Later in that segment, he said, if I don't get it done here, they'll fire me and they'll go get someone else to do it. I don't shy away from the pressure of this job. These are things he talked about. If you haven't watched that, if you're an Ohio State fan or you're just interested in the way these guys think, we've got like 40 minutes with him from the spring. Go search it on the YouTube channel. It was one of the best visits and sit-downs we did. They were great up there, gave us full access, and I think a really eye-opening interview with Ryan Day. So then fast forward back here. So they're going to be preseason number 1 or number 2, wherever you look. They're going to be picked to win the Big Ten. They're going to be picked to go to the playoff, maybe win it all. I will echo that. I'm going to pick them to do some of those things. Look, here's what I'll say. I think there's a total disconnect in understanding the world those coaches live in, which is not to say there's not pressure on them, which is not to say Ryan Day doesn't need to get the job done. All of those things are true. What I'm just saying is, and what I've observed about these guys is there are some coaches, let me back up. What I've observed about these coaches, and I'm around a lot of them, is they all say they don't care what the public says about them. Only some of them mean it. So you got to determine, like, who are you? If you're Ryan Day, if you're any of these guys, do you say you don't care about what other folks think, or do you actually not care about what other folks think? Because he's got a world-class program in Columbus, Ohio. They may have the best talent roster in America this year. They're going to be picked to do a lot of big things. They should be picked to do a lot of big things. They have come up short the last few years. Not far off, but they've come up short. They hadn't finished the job that they set out to do, and it's because they weren't good enough. So is that a reflection of him? Well, ultimately, the entire organization is. But there's a big difference, in being on rung 9 of a 10-rung ladder versus being on rung 2. The difference, I think, is the perception a lot of people have is you're either on the top rung or the bottom rung. There's like no in between, which has always been dumb to me. But the attitude that you have, if you don't care about what other folks think, is you just run your race. You just coach your team. You just run your program. And if you fail, you get back up, like he just talked about, and you apply the lessons you learned. And then over time, it's no different than succeeding in business. A lot of you own businesses. Did you knock it out of the park in year 1 or year 2? Even if you had advantages baked in? Maybe so, maybe not. Did you keep making the same mistakes over and over again? That's what makes you a failure. I can't wait to see how this season plays out, because I think that there are not only some staff changes he made there, man, I think there are some philosophical slight course corrections, not wholesale changes, but just a little tweak here, a little shift there, a little angle correction there, to where Ohio State football just looks like a little more streamlined version, a little more sledgehammerish version of itself than it has in the past. But here's the follow-up to that. The downside of it, this is not about Ryan Day, but this is just in general. The second you care about what other folks think, you're done. You're on your way to becoming one of them. You're on your way to talking into a mic for a living, or you're on your way to having to pay to attend games, or maybe they'll give you a sideline pass and you come and you're honored for what you once did for this program. But here's the way it works. It infects your mind, because what happens is not only are you making split-second decisions, not only are you making very pivotal decisions, whether it be a hire, whether it be who to start, whether it be how to tweak your strength and conditioning program, not only are you doing that, but there's this little voice in the back of your head, and it asks, what will writers at the Columbus Post-Dispatch say about this? What will guys over on the 11 Warriors or Bucknuts message board say about this? What's Zach Smith going to say about this tomorrow? What is the entire media ecosystem in Columbus going to say? You're done. You are screwed if you ever think like that. It poisons your mind. And so the big question about Ryan Day, the big question about any head coach at any point at Ohio State is not, will he have the resources? They all will. It's not, will they have the talent? To a certain degree, they all will. It's, are you the right guy for the job? I think the answer is yes with Ryan Day. Then part 2 is mentally, from the neck up, are you wired to shut that stuff out and just run your race? If he does, they will win a national championship at Ohio State. I've got very little doubt about it, because I think he's good enough. I think they're well-resourced enough. I think they're in perfect position. That is not always the way this sport works, though. It's not Xbox. It's the real world. And there are consequences to letting the outside noise affect you.